Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. In this edition, we'll be talking about Tottenham's draw at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs 2, Bournemouth 2. Spurs remain 13th in the Premier League table. Of course, Spurs came from 2-0 down to get a draw today in the Premier League. And now all eyes are on Thursday, our Europa League second leg game in the last 16 against AZ Alkmaar. A lot of criticism online again about Boss and Postecoglou, but we will get into all of it. The attendance today at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was 61,178, meaning that the stat, it could have been under 1,600 seats empty. There are a lot more than that today, I can tell you. I've just come from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and we're going to get into it. Now, as I mentioned, Spurs are 13th in the table, 34 points from 28 games, a goal difference of plus 14. Even if we won our next Premier League game against Fulham away, we will stay 13th. Now, the match facts and stats here. Tottenham Hotspur had 60.7% of the ball to Bournemouth's 39.3%. XG Spurs 1.52 to Bournemouth's 2.74. Shots, Spurs had 12 to Bournemouth's 17. Shots on target, Spurs had 4, Bournemouth had 8. Total touches inside the box, Spurs had 28, Bournemouth 27. Goalkeeper saves, Spurs 6, Bournemouth 2. Fouls, Spurs 15, Bournemouth 16. And corners, Spurs 3, Bournemouth 6. Now, as I mentioned, Tottenham 2, Bournemouth 2. Tavernier put in Bournemouth 1-0 up just before the half-time whistle on 42 minutes. Evanilson making it 2-0 after 65 minutes. Pape Sarr grabbing one back for Spurs in the 67th minute. And then Heung-min Son getting Tottenham's equaliser in the 84th minute from the penalty spot. Now, I should have mentioned we're live on YouTube, X, Facebook and Twitch, so please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling right now as a Tottenham Hotspur fan. Let's go to the guest now. We've got Craig back with us. Craig, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, Chris. Yeah, was expecting a bit more today, but the draw's not the worst result. But come on, that was pretty poor again, wasn't it? 2 lucky goals, essentially. Well, not lucky goals, but you know what I mean. One was clearly a cross and just went in. Second one, penalty, rash goalkeeping, which you take, obviously, but yeah, the whole performance wasn't brilliant again. So, but good to see Van der Ven back.
We'll get into the football in a second. Back with us also is Orcun, all the way from Istanbul. Orcun, how are you? We'll talk about the football in a second.
Yeah, generally I'm good. Obviously, as Craig was saying, I was expecting a bit more today. I think at times we did, there was some really good passing in very, very rare times during the match. But yeah, Bournemouth, in view of the kind of season they're having, I guess a draw is good in view of where we're coming from. But yeah, still left a bit more to be desired.
And joining us for the first time on the Spurs Chat podcast, I know Tim has been on a number of times on the fan show. Tim, you're joining us for the first time. Great to have you here. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I'm in myself, I'm absolutely fine. But obviously, just like many other performances, I feel kind of meh. It's not that I feel angry or sad. I just it's sucking the joy out of me. Let's put it that way.
Tim, let's start the show with you. Let's get your thoughts on today's game because there are a lot of, I know we'll come on to it, but there are a lot of boos, very loud boos at half time. People expected a reaction, particularly after Thursday night in Alkmaar. Give me your thoughts on today's performance. What were you expecting going into this game?
To be honest, I wasn't expecting too much. I was hoping they'd up their game and really push. We've generally been slow starters for a long time, but this was like beyond the pale, really. I mean, Romero just at the beginning was like I was like watching a episode of Doctor Who when I was 5. I was watching the game between my fingers, going, "What the hell is going on here?" And it never really got much better. It felt like, here we go, it's the RZ game. Here we go again. I suppose because we've done so badly at home this year. I mean, we've done terribly at home. I wasn't expecting much, but I was certainly expecting a lot more than that. I was looking at the Opta stats, actually. I won't talk about the whole game, but in the first half, our two wingers didn't have a cross in the whole game. Our two wingers didn't have a cross at all in the first half and didn't have a shot, which at home is pretty appalling. Basuma was a waste of time, got taken off. Brennan was a waste of time, got taken off. Sonny, who I loved it, was just nothing in the first half. Apart from a couple of, apart from Vic, who was amazing. I mean, we should have been at least 2 down and more in that first half. No, it just wasn't there at all. It just was a pretty terrible showing all round. And bearing in mind what happened Thursday, I expected a lot more. And that we've been constantly told when all the players are back, when we've had a rest, when things are going to get better, it's going to knit together. And it didn't at all. Certainly not in the first half, and only sporadically in the second half.
Tim, how are you feeling about Ange Postecoglou right now?
I don't think he's up to the gig anymore. And I was a firm fan of Ange, and certainly when I've had a season ticket up until this year, and those first 10 games of last year were so amazing. I think without that, he would have gone a long time ago. I just don't think. It doesn't feel like the players are either playing for him or just don't get his system. And he doesn't seem to have the passion to yank them out of that malaise is the right word. Just kind of, it reminds me of Man United when someone like Roy Keane was talking about them last year, particularly. They were jogging around. They weren't trying too hard. We were neither pressing nor sitting back. We were just in the middle there, and it just feels like exactly like Man United did this last year. We no longer have an identity. We're not that big pushing Ange ball team, and we're not a defensive team. We have no identity. So I think Ange, the only thing that's holding Ange into this post is the Europa League, and that's it.
Yeah, of course, we'll come on to talk about that big game on Thursday night later on in the show. Craig, let's get your thoughts on today's game.
Yeah, pretty much the same as Tim, to be honest with you. Just disappointing again. I was just expecting a more of a reaction for us being at home, and the fact the game was important game to get more points on the board and, not climb the table even. It was just to consolidate really, and just weren't at it again. Just dreadfully disappointing to see. I don't know where our football's gone. I don't know where this Ange ball's gone. Kind of had enough of it, to be honest with you. It's just the season's going to just peter out if we don't progress on Thursday. And I know we're still in the game Thursday, but it's just it's looking such a task to even get past Alkmaar at the moment. Bournemouth have taken 4 points off us this season. That performance at their place wasn't the best. And I know they've been doing well this season, absolutely, and credit to them. And the manager's done a brilliant job. But overall, we should be beating Bournemouth. I'm sorry, we should be beating Bournemouth when we're at home. Too many mediocre performances again by key players. The midfield set up, I didn't see any creativity in that first half when the team lineup came out. I wasn't impressed with that.
Yeah.
Good. Like I say, good to see Van der Ven back. Romero obviously had an absolute stinker first 5 or 10 minutes. Could have cost us 2 goals, but at least got Romero back now, so you'd expect them both to start. But yeah, fair play to Bournemouth. They are a tough side and have been playing really well. I get that totally, but we should be beating Bournemouth at home, and it could have been so much worse. Like I say, with the goals, a lucky shot come cross and the penalty for a moment of madness by Kepa. But let's face it, look, we got lucky. Bournemouth could have had 5 in that first half.
Well, I was going to say, I'll touch on what Tim said there about Vicario's performance, because had it not been for him, it could have been so many more, Craig.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, saved us a few times that game. So lackadaisical, so lazy by Romero. In the first 20 seconds, we were nearly a goal down. It was a great save by Vicario, but that could have been the worst possible start.
Audrey, let's come to you. Let's get your opinion and thoughts on this 2-2 draw today against Bournemouth.
Yeah, kind of mirroring what the guys have said so far. We just look devoid of confidence. It was a kind of, especially the first half was just the start of the first half, the first sort of 5-10 minutes just looked completely disjointed. Romero could have cost us a couple of goals just in the first sort of 5 minutes or so. I don't know. It's like I expected them to be more fired up because it's the home game and it's against the opposition that's doing well. And we've just had a poor result against, AZ. And so, this is a game where, if you do well, if you play well, if you win the game, then it's a great, morale boost in preparation for a very, very important game on Thursday. So, you just expected more. And when you don't see that, you just think, well, what are you guys, what is Ange telling these players? Or is it, is he saying the right things? And is it the players they're not responding to it? Or is he not getting them enough, fired them up enough? Just it's really frustrating. Look, go out there, give it a good go, fight. If you saw all the players fighting, battling, then, and even if you end up losing them, then you can say, well, yeah, at least they gave it a good go. But you can't really say that they gave it a good go today. It's just full of mistakes, full of errors, especially by certain players. Bissouma and Johnson were absolutely, really awful today. Bissouma also could have cost us. This game, I noticed it wasn't just one player. Several players kept doing it. They're passing the ball back to Vicario, getting us into unnecessarily. There are moments where you do need to pass back to the keeper to get yourself out of a sticky situation. But today, so many times, a number of players, when they could have made a pass, forwards, they kept choosing to pass back to Vicario and almost got ourselves into, trouble several times. Bissouma did it. Even when Bergvall came on, Bergvall did it once or twice. And I don't know if this is part of the tactics or what it is, but they're just, one little bit of a kind of flip side to that coin is, putting it into sort of perspective. Several of these players, this was Solanke's first start for, God knows how many months. Obviously, Romero played 60 minutes, then Van der Ven came on. So several of these players, although fine, they've been fit for several weeks, there is fitness and then there's match fitness. And a number of these players aren't necessarily match fit. It takes a couple of games for them to get some minutes under their belt to when they're sort of maybe slowly getting back to their peak best. So we do have to put that into perspective, but still, you expected more. And not seeing it, obviously, that's what annoys us fans. We want players out there, fighting and, kind of, like bears, getting out there and fighting for the shirt, fighting for the badge. And half of those players, you don't see that. They're just kind of, like you say, they're just kind of running around like clueless, headless chickens, just, kind of trying to do something that, and it's unclear what it is that they're trying to do.
It frustrated a lot of fans today, I must say, inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium about that passing back. I know exactly what you mean, Orchie, because there are a number of groans by a lot of people around me today when a number of players, it wasn't just one or two, it was a number of players passing the ball back. Tim, on that subject, we know that Ange Postecoglou doesn't like to play that way. We know that he is always telling the players to pass the ball forward. What is going on?
I don't know, because even towards the end of the game when we're maybe pushing for a win, God forbid, and God knows how, Vic gets the ball and no one shows for I just like, right, let's do this slowly. It's like there's 3 minutes to go. What's wrong with you? It just seems that something's been instilled in them recently, which is we'll just knock it back again. No one wants to beat. I mean, the only one who did really, I think, was Odeberg. We actually beat a few people, and certainly the Opta stats say he crossed. But back to what Orchie was saying, I kept noticing it was a really good near post cross, and I think a fit Solanke or a good fit number 9 might have got to it, but he was slow on the uptake. He wasn't picking up the stuff. So I think that added to the disjointed feel of how it was going, because a few people weren't particularly fit. But I don't get the passing back, because as soon as someone like Van der Ven started trotting forward like a racehorse that he is, the whole stadium gets up and you can hear it, and then it fizzles out. So I'm not in. I assume, and certainly what I felt about the last game at Alkmaar, that there's a lot of players that are hiding. Brennan just seems scared out of his skin to do anything that will make a mistake, and I think I'm seeing that from a lot of players. And it seems to be maybe the younger ones who are less afraid. People like Bergvall who will take a chance and run forward, or Jed Spence, and they were the players of the match for us. But the older ones, and I'm counting Brennan in that, although he's young, he's very experienced, seem petrified to do anything out of the ordinary or to try and beat a man or do anything. So although he's told us that, I'm not sure that game exists for him anymore. I think he's made a decision a while back that he's not doing that all-out thing and that he's being more cautious. But where that's left us is we're neither one thing nor the other. We're just without any personality, because everyone's doing it, right? Everyone's passing it back. It's not just one or two. We're running up. So how can our captain for the whole game not make one cross? And the only shot on target he had was a penalty. That's our captain. And the number 9 has one shot on target in the whole game. And our decent winger had no crosses in the whole game, as in Brennan. So I don't actually understand. It just feels like two things. One, there's no confidence, and two, there's no commitment. They're all playing for their futures rather than for now. It just feels like they're not committed and they're not confident.
Craig, before I come to you talking about the starting 11 today, let's hear from Ange Postecoglou. This is what you had to make of the 2-2 draw today.
Ange, give us your take on that one.
Chaotic game, I think it's fair to say. We probably contributed to that a fair bit, especially in the first half. We just gave the ball away so carelessly at times. Probably a little bit of nerves there, a little bit of rustiness from a couple of players. And a 2-0 down, with kind of the atmosphere in the stadium, it would have been easy for the lads to kind of let the game drift away, but they found something to fight back and get something out of the game, and credit to them.
I guess no small part of that comeback is your substitutions today, the players that came into the game. What did you like from what you saw from them today? Yeah, good energy by the guys. I thought Lucas and Sonny made an instant impact as soon as they came on, and just getting Mickey out there and seeing him drive with the ball gives everyone a lift. Even the crowd sort of got behind the team in that moment, and it was important. We have a bench now. Look, it was key today. We got some minutes and some guys, and Dom getting 90 and 90 plus, and Romero and Mickey getting game time. Lucas and Sonny have played a lot, so we can kind of keep their minutes limited. So from that perspective, it was an important day.
Interesting from Sonny, and you won't be surprised, but not happy with a point. And basically when we said to him, well done for coming back from 2-0 down, he said, yeah, but we shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place. Mentality, isn't it? Yeah, look, I think, there have been times this year, just about every defeat we've had has been by a single goal, where games have petered out. And at least today I thought the lads, worked hard to get something out of the game. I think if we had done that in other games this year where we haven't been great, but we could have got something out of the game, we'd be in a much better position. So, look, Sonny wants to win all the time. That's what his ambition is, and I'm not surprised he's not happy with the point.
And you could feel at times when the team was playing out quick for the back, the crowd felt a bit anxious, and then sure enough, from exactly that, you win the penalty. Did you see those as the moments where you could hurt a high-pressing team like Bournemouth?
Look, I think, I get, the anxiety of the sort of crowd, and it's particularly when we were struggling to get out at times. But, I think there's a message in there for us as a team, is that the boys persevered, they kept going. That's the way forward for us. that's the solution. Doing anything else other than that isn't going to get us to where we want to. And it was a struggle at times today, and the boys had to be strong to keep trying to play out from the back whenever we could. They're a good pressing team, so they ask you those questions. But I was pleased that the boys persevered.
It just felt, Angie, you've got to take that bounce into Thursday, haven't you? We could, as you said, we just could have let it slip and come away with defeat, and then you're taking a negative into Thursday, but now we're taking a positive into Thursday. Yeah,
look, I think it's fair to say if we didn't show that sort of response at the end, there would have been a whole lot of noise around us again leading into Thursday. And at least now, like I said, gives the lads a real narrow focus look. But irrespective, it doesn't matter. We know it's a big game Thursday night. We know what we need to do to get through to the next round, and irrespective of kind of what the noise may or may not be leading into it, we've got to be ready for that.
Just finally, if we go back to what you said at the beginning, when it's in that sort of frenzied state, as a manager, what are you looking for from your players when you sort of see it just getting so bitty and fractious in the middle of the park? What do you need to see more of?
Look, I think you're hoping for just some calmness in terms of individuals, through their actions, hopefully trying to sort of slow down proceedings a little bit. But I think there was a general sort of nervousness in the whole stadium, and I think that transferred to the players. And like I said, Kuti hasn't played, he's hardly played all year. His first 2 passes he's given to the opposition, but that's almost, you understand that. But he grew into the game and he got better as the game went on. But aside from that, there were still moments where I felt we were just too much of a hurry, too anxious. Obviously it was a disappointing night Thursday night, and when that happens, you want to go out there and respond, but we just needed to slow things down a little bit. Obviously, I think Lucas coming on certainly helped that, because he's definitely a technician. He sort of protects the ball really well, and it's kind of what we needed.
So is that, I suppose, then a message to the team and for everyone for Thursday as well? It might be a bit of patience required on Thursday night.
Yeah, look, again, I can't tell people what to do, but, for all of us that were there at RZ on Thursday night, their crowd certainly helped them. And hopefully on Thursday night we get a similar atmosphere here for us, get behind the players. They're desperate to do well, they're desperate to get through to the next round, and with a good atmosphere in here, I'm sure we can do it.
Craig, let's come to you and get your reaction on Andrew's comments there. Of course, they've spoken a lot about Thursday and the crowd. What do you make of it? Certainly what he said the other day after the game as well, and Vicario waving his arms up in the air with the away fans, trying to give a little bit more. Because I'll tell you what, for someone who did the trip like myself, it costs a lot of money to go out there. We all expect a lot more. I don't like any form of criticism when it's aimed at the crowd, because we should be being entertained. Certainly in Andrew's second season. Yes, we've had a lot of injuries, but the players at Andrew's disposal right now, we are at virtually full strength. But what do you make of his comments there? Because it's all about nerves and rustiness.
Yeah, I don't like to see fans criticised at all, either, especially away fans who, as you say, pay a lot of money to go all over the world and more often than not this season be dished up a load of crap. The players have got to put on a show and actually get the crowd behind them. It's all very well saying the crowd need to get behind the team. Of course they do, but you want to actually get behind something that you can see where there's a plan, where the players are actually trying, where you're being entertained, where you can see the team just playing football to make it look like they've been playing football together rather longer than a week. Do you know what I mean?
Perhaps I worded that a little bit wrongly, because even on the AZ trip on Thursday, the fans were supporting the team. That's what I don't understand, because they were supporting the team. The away end support is absolutely fantastic wherever we are, whether it's in Europe or whether it's in Premier League games. They are fantastic. So I don't like this slight dig at fans.
No, absolutely. It's look, apart from anything else, as you've said, it's the money fans pay out. A lot of money to get flights, pay for the tickets, book hotels, take time off work, everything, and get served up that. So it's any criticism of the fans, especially the away fans, is totally wrong in my opinion. The fans are allowed to have a voice. They're allowed to voice their concerns, and I don't think the players or any manager should criticise that. It's not just one or two people. It's the whole fan base when you go away from home or at home. The fans are just finding it hard to get up for, especially at home. Fans are just finding it hard to sing the songs and get behind the team when they're being served up crap every week, and you can't really blame them. I mean, I'm going Thursday. It'll be interesting to see how loud the fans are on Thursday, because it's difficult. It is really difficult when when you're not being entertained, when you're just seeing on the pitch what we're seeing week after week. There's only so much the fans can do and should be almost demanded to do.
Craig, I don't know whether you've noticed, but I feel like there is more comments and criticism aimed at Ange Postecoglou than we've ever seen before when we've done an after-match podcast.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I don't actually see how he survives if we lose on Thursday. I don't, and I'm not Ange in, I'm not Ange out. I just, I'll be behind him until whatever happens.
Until we're out of the Europa League, you mean?
Till we're out of the Europa League. But then, it doesn't matter who comes in. We're not getting Europe any other way, are we? Let's face it. It's just all about pride then and how far up the table we can climb. We're not getting to European places. No way. So, do you just stick with Ange till the end of the season and bring in somebody that you actually want? Or do you sack Ange and bring in Ryan Mason for the last however many games we got left? If Thursday goes wrong, then that's the season done, isn't it? Bottom line.
Orchie, give us your reaction to Ange Postecoglou's comments about the game and about the fans.
Yeah, he kind of seemed like he was hinting that, the atmosphere wasn't good enough or something. And I agree, with what you guys are saying, that you got to give us something to shout, sing about. There were, as I said, there were one or two moments where there was some really good passing. I think towards the end of the first half, a bit too late, but yeah, I think. I agree with him. Yes, fair enough. There are several players there that haven't had much game time for a number of months. So yes, they might be a bit rusty. So it's understandable. I think he was referring to Romero there, and it's not just Romero, Van de Ven, Romero, Solanke. These are players that we've missed massively. But still, there are several other players, as we said. There were all these kind of passing back and just, today really, I was pulling my hair out every time Bissouma, with some of his passes, with some of his decisions. I was just ripping my hair out, and it's just, we're not, for us to get excited, we need to see something on the pitch. And if the players are doing things that are frustrating, that is, annoying, and we're not seeing them fighting, then where is the passion, where is the to get that atmosphere going, because there were times where we had several good attacks, and you could hear, obviously I was watching it on TV, and you could hear crowd goes up, the energy goes up, people get excited, but they just weren't doing enough of that. It's not surprising. Now, you can, as I said, like, obviously we've had a very poor 2-3 months. So it's only natural that, the crowd feels down. It's only natural that, because, where we are in the league, and obviously we've only got Europa League left, and, we just had a really poor result on Thursday. You shouldn't be surprised to find that there is a bit of a weird atmosphere in that crowd. So, and what you have to do, and the players have to take responsibility for this. You have to go out there, battle, give the crowd something to shout about, to sing about. And obviously, we just discussed it. We didn't get off to a good start either. Several mistakes. We could have been a couple of goals down in the first 5 minutes. What do you expect? That obviously compounds and makes it worse. I've got to say, like, Thursday, I think there's got to be a resounding There's got to be a much, much better performance. And I think unless we get a resounding, 3-0, 4-0 win on Thursday, I think, it's probably going to continue. If we go out of Europa League, we've got 10 games left of the rest of the season. It's probably not going to get better anytime soon. I'm talking about kind of the crowd, the atmosphere in the stadium, because we want to see more from these players. We want to see more from a number of players. There's players like Vicario today definitely kept us in the game. Made so many brilliant saves. Jed Spence again, I think he had a good game considering. But there's just a number of players just not doing it. They're just not, playing to their real potential that we know that they can. And like I said, again, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself. There are several players, fair enough. Romero, Van der Ven, Solanke, they've been out for a while. Even Odegaard, it's the first time he's only been back for a couple of games. So those players, okay, fair enough. They've got a bit of an excuse, but the rest of the players don't really have much of an excuse. In recent weeks, we've had a whole week off. They've had a chance to do a bit of a recovery, have a bit of a more preparation time for the upcoming games. And, we're still seeing these kind of lackluster performances, and it's just not good enough.
Well, one player that was back today, and we haven't seen him in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt for 3 months, was Christian Romero. Of course, he captained the side. We'll come on to talk about the starting 11 now, but he's just posted on social media, Christian Romero, and said, after a difficult period full of things that happened in between, I am back with the group and happy to be able to help the team. There is certainly a lot to correct and work on, but we are together and eager to reverse the situation. See you on Thursday. We will come back stronger than ever, all together. Tottenham. Thankful to the physios at Argentina for getting me out of a bad moment and putting me back on the field where I am so happy. Thank you all for your continued support. Now, Tim, let's come to you on the starting 11 and talking about Christian Romero. The starting 11 today, Ange Postecoglou made 6 changes to the team that lost 1-0 at AZ on Thursday evening in the Europa League. So the starting 11 today was as follows: Vicario, Porro, Danso, Romero as captain, as I mentioned, Jed Spence, Basuma, Sarr and Bentancur, and then the forward line of Johnson, Solanke and Odegaard. And the sub-bench today, very, very strong: Kinski, Udogie, Van der Ven, Gray, Bergvall, Maddison, Tell, Son and Scarlett. A very, very strong bench, I might add. Tim, when you saw this lineup come out for this game against Bournemouth, how were you feeling? Was it the right move from Ange today?
I thought, because of the midfield, I thought he was going to try and be a bit more defensive. There wasn't a great deal of creativity in there. And I think it felt like he was playing it safe, like playing all the players that he thought would play a safe game. He didn't take any risks. For instance, I thought he might put Dane Scarlett up front, and I think he should have put Dane Scarlett up front. So having 3 defensive midfield players, you thought, well, maybe he's trying to stay solid. Well, that was a joke, right? Because we were anything but solid in the first half, and we certainly weren't pressing. I know why he plays Johnson, but he's not been in good form, short of the goals, weirdly. He's our top scorer, I think. He rarely puts in a good performance. He's just in so low quality. I don't understand. It was more on the bench. I can't remember. I actually don't understand what's happening with Mikey Moore at all. Should have been playing Thursday. I mean, he did well with the centre backs, as in putting Romero in first half and second half, putting Van der Ven was probably a good choice, no matter what Romero was doing, which was mostly insane. So I think it was a timid choice for the starting 11, rather than anything sort of right. Let's do this. Let's really sort of push on and do some stuff here. I thought he would just go with what he felt we might just scrape a win with, or certainly not lose, and then had to change things up. I don't really understand why he's played Solanke all day. He's knackered him now for Thursday, as far as I was concerned. But saying that, some of the substitutions were pretty good ones. So it was it was an okay 11, but I looked at it and thought I wasn't excited by that 11 and thought, yeah, we stand a good chance here. I thought it was, we may not lose here, which is not where we're supposed to be, right? Oh, it's interesting. People in the chat, some people in the chat are saying, stop being so negative, please support your team. I've been supporting this bloody team for 50 years, right? Through thick and thin. I just want, like, when that stadium is rocking, even if we're not winning 4 or 5-0, we're just playing our hearts out and doing stuff. Like the back end of that Chelsea game in 23, how long that was. The place was bouncing up and down and we were losing. But when the energy is sucked out of everything and it's like, we're not supposed to be on this trajectory. We're supposed to be on that trajectory, not fading away like a really crap 80s pop star or something, something you never quite heard of. That's kind of what we feel like. It's like, I really used to like so-and-so, but now they're just old and crap. And that's what we feel like. I wouldn't say I'm just dissing the team. I'm like a parent saying, I'm very disappointed in you. That's how I feel with this. So in terms of of Angie's choices, I think they're okay, but they weren't spectacular. They were safe. And for someone, I think, who maybe needs to give some energy to the team and to the stadium in particular, it wasn't great.
Craig, it's very interesting, isn't it? Over recent years, under various different managers, we've always spoken about team selection, particularly before and after European games. And we've always rested players in European games for league games because the league competition has always been so much more important. But when you look at that starting 11 today, Ange definitely is thinking of the management of the players, going into Thursday's game. Did he get it right today, in your opinion?
I think, look, we said before, momentum is a wonderful thing, isn't it? And if they'd turned up today and put on a better performance, it would have been better for Thursday, in my opinion. I just didn't see any creativity in that centre midfield, unless he's completely given up on the league. Realised that the league is gone.
Do you believe that?
Well, I just can't say. What do I believe that's what he thinks, or that's what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think they're putting all their eggs in the Europa basket, which would be surprising considering the way we played on Thursday, to be honest. Because, look, we may well get through this round, but if we play like that away from home against more or less any other team left in this competition, we're going to get our asses handed to us, for want of a better word. So, he's got to be better. He's just got to be better. But I think today, yes, he was managing minutes. I think you'll see Mickey van der Ven be starting on Thursday. I think the plan was always to swap him with Romero at some point in the game. But look, he looked pretty good. He went on a couple of sprints, Mickey van der Ven. So I think you'll see them two back centre back Thursday. It's just what else he does, because like today, like Tim said, like I said earlier, there was just no creativity in the middle of the park today. I just couldn't see how we were going to somebody driving us forward. Like obviously Kulusevski's injured, but even Maddison on his day, that something a bit more creative. When you've got those three players in the centre of the park, you just don't get it. There's no creativity in there, and I think that was one of many issues today.
Craig, let's just talk a little bit about Christian Romero. Of course, we haven't seen him in a Spurs shirt for 3 months. He comes back. Of course, he was on the sub bench at AZ Alkmaar on Thursday, but he's come straight back in to this Premier League side today, made captain as well. What did you make of his performance?
Not his best, and certainly not the best start. Very lazy pass that nearly secured Bournemouth being 1-up within the first 20 seconds. And then a very dangerous pass into Bissouma, who miscontrolled it a bit, and only a good save from Vicario meant Bournemouth didn't score there. So yeah, it wasn't the best start from Romero, and he didn't have his best game at all today. I thought very rusty indeed. But if that's just blown away the cobwebs, and hopefully he'll be a bit more ready on Thursday, because today he just looked so far off it. 17 seconds. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, incredible. You know, you don't play that sort of pass with your first touch. I'm sorry, you just don't. He was trying to be clever. What he was doing didn't work. Nearly cost us.
Also, on that point, let's talk about the match instance of the game now. And as Scott rightly says here, 17 seconds into the game, Bournemouth were nearly 1-0 up. A great save from Vicario. What did you make of that incident?
Yeah, I think as Craig was saying, he tried to be a bit clever and just I don't understand. You want to start a game strongly, and just don't take any silly chances. You've come back, you want to make a strong impression from the start, and you do something like that just 17 seconds into it. And we've done this several times in the last month or so. Just pointless again. Just have to. I mean, as I said, fair enough. I know he hasn't kicked the ball in a long time, but thank goodness Vicario's. He's come back. Obviously raring to go, and he's saved us so many times in the last few weeks. His saves, his at least he was kind of on the. He was on. He knew. What was happening, aware, and he made the right decision and made the save. But yeah, I mean, we have to be better. We have to start games better and more tuned in. Instead of doing these, we seem to just our default start seems to be nervous, risky, and doing things that you normally wouldn't do. There's one side where you can say, yeah, he's just come back from injury, but Romero is a World Cup. He's a player who's won a World Cup. He's experienced enough. If that was Van de Ven, maybe I can understand. He's a bit more younger. But Romero is supposed to be somebody who is supposed to be rock solid, even if he has been out injured for a while. So it's just silly. It's just, I don't know.
Would you do that in the World Cup final, Archie? Would you do that in the World Cup final in the first minute for Argentina?
Exactly.
No, you wouldn't.
No.
So don't do it for our club.
It's just
stupid. You're supposed to be a leader.
It is.
No.
Exactly. So this is why it's these kind of things that frustrate us fans. It's just I appreciate we're all human, we can all make mistakes, but you're literally starting a game, your first start in months, and you want to, and you're at home, and this is really a game where you want to start. You want to get the crowd going. You want to get the crowd on your side, get everybody excited, get the atmosphere going, and then that's basically what you do after 17 seconds. It's unacceptable. It's not good enough. And this is the thing that frustrates me about Romero. I mean, you showed his message, Chris, that he shared. It seems like he's thanking the Argentinian physios for bringing him back. I mean, he's saying, yeah, we're all together about Spurs, but he's thankful to the physios at Argentina for getting me out of a bad moment and putting me back on the field where I am so happy. What is that all about? I mean,
let's be honest, he cannot wait to play for his country again, can he?
Yeah. And see, it's stuff like this that, naturally, look, I totally understand. You're proud of your country. You've won a World Cup with your country. But at the end of the day, this is a club that pays your wages. This is the club that, you need to, you need to show more passion. You need to show that you are, you care just as much about your club, the club that pays your wages, and the fans that are there to see you, to support you. I just feel like you need to show that it means just as fair enough. Love Argentina, love playing for your country, but also be there for the badge as well, for the Spurs badge, for the team. And I don't know. It just sends out all the wrong signals. It sends out all the wrong messages to me, to be honest. And for that reason, I just think should he have started maybe Van de Ven? I honestly thought if I'm the manager and I've got both Van de Ven and Romero fit, I think the way I felt also about Romero, these kind of things. I personally would have probably started with Van de Ven today. I don't know why. And from in recent weeks, the way Ange's been talking, he said that Van de Ven is training. He's taken part in training. And when he was asked about Romero, he was saying Romero is the one that's kind of, yeah, we're not 100% sure, you know. So I always felt that it was Romero who was a little bit behind Van de Ven in terms of fitness. So it was interesting that it was Romero that got the nod ahead of Van de Ven today. I would have rather Van de Ven started and then maybe Romero came on, 60, 70 minutes to, give him a bit of a run as well. But because I think Danso, I think, has done well. I think today, again, he did okay. He was still a bit dodgy in certain points, but generally, I think he's quite solid. And I'd love to see Danso and Van de Ven, because Danso is quite physical and he seems quite, powerful. And that mixed with Van de Ven's pace, I think I'd love to see how that partnership might go for the future. But yeah, just strange.
Would you sell Romero? Would you sell him?
If we got a big offer, yes, and then use that money and go and get Gay.
Yeah,
that's how I feel. To be honest,
that's how I feel.
Yeah,
exactly.
Especially when I see that message as well, where he's thanking Argentinian physios. I mean, I don't know. Because I'm sure,
like a lot of South Americans, I think he wants to play for Real, and I'm happy if they give us a big chunk of money and go.
He's also 56 million. He's also criticised the board, and that the football club are not going to like the way that he's got around things in that way. Tim, let's come to you. Stu Miller here, regular on the show, by the way, and a very positive fan. He says here, you don't come back from 2 goals down if you're not playing for the manager. Is there any part of you, Tim, that feels like some of these players aren't playing for the manager?
Yeah, I do. Well, it's the problem is, like, he comes up with stupid comments like, I'm talking about Ange now, where you only see 5% of the stuff. So what do you know? And I think, oh, you arrogant tosser. Of course we know that. But it doesn't, either they're not playing for him or they don't know what they're doing. It's one of those two things. And yes, they came back from 2-0 down, but one, it was probably a miss-hit cross that was lucky, and 2 was a stupid goalkeeper. Other than that, and a fantastic Bergvall shot, I will say, that was about it as far as I remember. So it's not like we were putting all the effort in and doing that. It felt like we might get somewhere occasionally, and then a stupid pass would go or someone would be closed down. They very easily played back through us again. And with a bit of better finishing, I can't remember, was it Kluivert in the second half who just pushed it past the post, or hit the post rather, would have done that. So I don't think they're actively against him. I just don't think they're all in on him. So for instance, if you're talking about leaders, you've got 3 leaders who are currently not leading. So you've got Sonny, who we all love and is fantastic, but is definitely not a leader. You've got Romero, who doesn't really want to be at the club. And you've got Madders. And I don't know what's going on with Madders, because there was a couple of occasions where he tried to do the whole thing himself. I think he turned around in circles about 4 times and then got caught on the ball. It's like, just pass the ball. So it just feels like, not that they're against him. It just seemed directionless. And just like, I'm just going to play so I don't look stupid here, rather than the other way around.
Tim, going back to the game itself,
yeah.
After 4 minutes, Bournemouth had another chance. Basuma losing the ball this time, saved again by Vicario, and then from that resulting save, a cross then came in from Bournemouth, and then Vicario had to save again. So Vicario has made 3 decent saves, 3 big chances in the opening 4 minutes.
Yeah,
that is not the way you start a game.
It's just completely unacceptable. And we have traditionally always started slow. Even when we were playing great, we always started slow. So if he doesn't want to lose the game, then just play safe for 10 minutes. I kind of said previously, I get the feeling that the way he's trying to do it is to make sure we're in the game with about 15 minutes to go, and then kind of go for it because we're fitter, etc., etc. That's what it feels like to me. But what you don't do is throw the game away in the first half, because, short of those saves, and I'm sure you come on to it, a very lucky offside, we're done. We're absolutely done. And I can't understand. I mean, Basuma's not got confidence. Why would you play the stupid pass into Basuma, who is struggling with his confidence? play it around the back, make them run around, wear them out, grind them down. But some of it, I think, is Romero's arrogance, which certainly when I saw him was kind of one of his positive qualities. But at times it's like, no. What are you doing? It's too much. You're through your own arrogance, you're putting other people in trouble because you just think that's the best thing. And that's how it felt to me. So I don't know. I don't think there's a strong enough message from the manager going solid for 15 minutes, just completely solid. Do not let them play through us. Get the crowd involved in the game, etc., etc. And we've spoken about that a lot, right? I don't think Ange understands fully getting White Hart Lane, because I'm going to call it that, rocking early doors makes a complete difference to how the team plays. And when they make stupid mistakes and go early down, the place just quietens off because people are going, here we go again.
Craig, Ange said a week or two ago, when we get all of our players back, we are going to be an outstanding team. Do you think that is going to be the case from now until the end of the season, that Spurs can be an outstanding team? Because what really, really does worry me is, of course, Thursday's game. Everyone's going to go into this game feeling quite nervy. It's going to be interesting, the atmosphere at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in that first 10, 15, 20 minutes. If the score is 0-0 still and Spurs are trying to, get back into the tie and go through to play either Frankfurt or Ajax, which we'll talk about later. But it's difficult, isn't it? It's very difficult when the manager is kind of criticising the fans. When he keeps saying that we're going to be an outstanding team when we've got all of our players back. When we talk about Romero's mistakes, like after 17 seconds, you haven't played for 3 months. Yes, he's been in training for a long period of time, but after 17 seconds, making a mistake like that, and we could talk a lot about Romero's passing today that I thought was quite poor. How do you G up the crowd for this next game?
It's difficult to G up the crowd. The crowd will be up for it from the start because we always are, and then you're reliant on the players putting on a bit of a show to keep that intensity in the crowd, to keep the crowd entertained and actually get them off their feet, off their seats. And saying will be a, whatever the wording you use there, phenomenal outfit. Remember, we actually outstanding. We weren't very outstanding at the beginning of the season when we did have those players in the first place. Yes, it's good getting them back. We'll certainly be a different team, but I wouldn't say we were outstanding when they were all fit. So I don't know what will have changed. Some of these players still need to move on. Bissouma, I think he needs to go for his own sanity. I just don't think we've never got the Bissouma other than in small moments. The Bissouma from Brighton,
yeah.
Again, and we all know the players. I won't go through them. Richarlison's probably another one. So still loads of work to do in the transfer window, but I'm still not seeing this team that he is saying that we've got, because it wasn't there previously.
Craig, on 10 minutes, good cross in from Wilson Odebear, which was cleared. What do you make of Wilson Odebear's performance today and his appearances of late?
He's still coming back from injury, so he was lively in parts today. Again, I still don't think the front three did enough in the first half. I thought it was better second half, but the first half, again, a bit disjointed. Tough on Solanke, because it showed actually what Solanke can give us up there. But even he was knackered at the end of the game. There was a ball played through. Yeah, I think by a very poor ball actually by Maddison, and you could see Solanke was trying to get there, but he was just out on his arse. So, yeah, you're still wanting more from your front three, to be honest with you. But it's just good to see. I think there's a player in Odebear. I'm willing to grant him a little bit of slack, actually, Odebear. He's been out for ages. I do like that sort of player, tricky winger, quick, I'm willing to cut him a bit of slack. But Johnson, I've not been impressed with his performances so far. of late, rather, shall I say. And like I say, Solanke still coming back. I thought he works reasonably hard, and you know what you're going to get from Solanke, but again, himself coming back from injury, so it's always going to be tough.
Craig, can I just get your reaction and opinion on this comment here from Paul? I think Paul is one of our very positive Spurs fans that watch and listen to this podcast. He says here, granted the performance wasn't great today, but you'd think we just got beat 4-0 and didn't come back from 2-0 down. And in a weird sort of way, from my perspective, it does feel like a defeat today. And when we're sitting, 13th, I think we're actually 14th right now, because at the time of recording this, Manchester United have beaten Arsenal, so it means that they've jumped ahead of us as well. So we're now 14th in the Premier League table. It's been a difficult season, hasn't it?
It has. Very difficult. It's been a difficult 6 years to some degree.
I would love to be sitting here, talking about so many positives, but you can only talk about what we've seen.
And do you know what? Somebody said on the telly yesterday that Pep Guardiola's won. I can't remember the number of trophies, but it was in the it was double figures in all the years he's been at Man City. Even in the last 6 years, I think it was something like 12 trophies. I can't actually remember. Somebody will probably have to be able to look that up and put it in the comments. It's just unfathomable to even think of Tottenham Hotspur even getting anywhere near that, isn't it? I think all we want is a Carabao Cup, and we'd all be celebrating. But that's the levels you're looking at, and we are just so far off it, far off it. It's frightening, absolutely frightening. No, it's 1-1 Arsenal, Man U, by the way.
Yeah, and sadly they're still ahead of us. They're still 13th, and we're 14th. Orcun, let's come to you. After 10 minutes still, Basuma had a shot blocked, and then after 17 minutes, an excellent counter from Bournemouth. Romero fouled the player just outside the Spurs box. Bournemouth then hit the free kick at the wall, cross in, and then flicked on. Vicario saved. And then on 20 minutes, Tottenham driving forward through Rodrigo Bentancur. He was trying to pass it to Pedro Porro. It then went out of play. They both looked extremely puzzled of why he did that and why he didn't receive the ball properly. What did you make of Bentancur's performance and Pedro Porro's performance today?
At times, especially in the first half, actually, I thought Bentancur was, like, in terms of the trio that started, I thought he was the better one. Basuma was just all over the place. Sarr was in and out a little bit, and Bentancur was, he made some good tackles, and I thought, he was kind of, he wasn't having a bad, compared to like Basuma, he wasn't having such a bad game, I thought. Porro, I think he's trying. I can't fault for his efforts, but again, I mean, for the first goal, he was kind of, it was his failure that kind of started because he was, again, so far up. He was so far high up that the player had a free run all the way, and then he crossed in for Bournemouth's first goal. But yeah, I mean, Porro, again, we've said this several times in the past shows as well. Porro, I think going forwards, if the teams, if the players around him are playing well, he gives a good performance. But again, he frustrates me because I expect more from him, because he's another one that, again, we spoke in previous shows where I think he's more of a winger than he's a right back. So defensively, he always seems to be out of position, out of place, and he makes us vulnerable from that, from the right hand side of our defense usually. And again, you can put this criticism to all of our right-sided players, but because he's always up there and he's part of the attack, like, I don't see him, like, we said we don't get enough crosses in, and he's another one that usually I want, if you're going to be attacking, if you're going to be up there all the time, I want you either, you should be doing two things. You should either be taking players on and getting past them and, cutting the ball back or giving a good pass to create a chance, or you should whip in a fantastic cross for a player like Solanke to have a chance of, heading a goal in. And none of our, wingers do that. The only person that occasionally does that is Kulusevski, who was injured today. But yeah, just still, just both of them, Pedro Porro and Bentancur. I thought, as I said, I thought he was the better of the three that started. But just still, expect more. I think again, he's another one who's had a lot of disruptions with injuries and suspensions and stuff. But I think he's the one that I think if he gets a good run in the team without any more disruptions, perhaps he can bring his level back up to what he was previously. But yeah, he wasn't terrible. He wasn't brilliant. He was kind of like, it was mediocre today for me, for Bentancur. For, Podro, probably just, it was about the same. Expect more from both. But as I said, I don't think, maybe Porro, again, there's an argument to be made. Maybe he could have started Udogie left back and start Spence at right back and, keep Porro on the bench. But yeah, because to me, Porro is always leaving us exposed defensively. And we get, how many goals have we conceded from that right-hand side? And it's just still, I just expect more.
I should have said at that point, after 20 minutes when that happened, the crowd were groaning a lot because, bearing in mind, Bournemouth have had quite a few opportunities. Spurs couldn't even string a simple pass together at that point, and the crowd weren't happy. Although 2 minutes later, a cross from Pedro Porro found Dominic Solanke. He flicked it on towards goal, easy for the goalkeeper. And then 5 minutes from the halftime break on 40 minutes, Romero just literally giving the ball away on the edge of our box. That really did infuriate a lot of people again. And then 2 minutes later, of course, Bournemouth took a 1-0 lead. Tim, do you want to talk us through this, the opening goal of the game? Because, a very, very disappointing time to concede a goal just before the halftime break. We'll come on to the halftime boos in a second, but do you want to talk us through the goal?
Yeah, I kind of, I'm sure the whole atmosphere in the stadium was like, oh man, no. When that pass went astray, and then he just literally runs pretty much about 70 yards, I'm thinking, as far as I remember. And then, to be fair, it was a fantastic cross and a brilliant finish. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Jed switched off a bit at the back post, but in many ways, the goal was made, in their own half because we're marauding forward, and then all of a sudden the momentum goes straight back again. And this is kind of one of the issues we have, is that if we get cut off at the top end of the pitch, people tend to then go almost straight to our box without being challenged. And it's happened again and again and again. Again, just disappointed that there was a really good attack on there, and then a misplaced pass literally done us for that. But you've got to give credit where credit's due. It was an absolutely fantastic cross and a brilliant finish. If that's, a foot longer or shorter, it's cleared. And, sometimes you go, well, just well done, just brilliant. But, and I've seen this a few times, we're not that good at cutting out crosses into the box. We seem to let clubs do it. I don't know if I'm just making it up in my head, but I'm pretty sure that the deal is we just let him cross and we'll deal with it when it comes in. But he had he's a talented left footer. He had so much time to pick that cross out. I think, there's something that could have been done before that. But I think it seems to be the tactic to just then all run back and just deal with it when it gets towards the area, which I'm not sure is helpful.
Craig, let's get your opinion on this opening goal from Bournemouth on 42 minutes, because I feel like it's the biggest definition of high-risk football under Ange Postecoglou. Of course, us bombing forward and then Bournemouth on the counter-attack. And like Tim said, it was a fantastic cross and a fantastic finish from Tavernier.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal cross, but he had so much grass in front of him to run into. Yeah. It was... can you go back to that first image, Chris, of this particular move? Now, obviously, Porro was running forward. I think he personally picked the wrong pass. I think he should have gone through the middle to the player to the left, whoever that is. I think that's Solanke. It was a bad pass, completely cut out. And then all that space, all that space he had to run into, and totally unchallenged. You can't take anything away from the cross and the finish. Absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, Jed at the back post, just let him run past him. Whether he didn't know he was there, I don't know, but it just switched off for that split second. But you can't completely blame Jed Spence for that. It's it's everything that went on before it.
Yeah.
It was just it deserved a goal. The cross deserved a goal.
Danzo as well. He got really close to it. I think if Danzo had headed that out, obviously it wouldn't have got through to it. But I think basically everybody kind of failed in this goal. I feel because it just skimmed past Danzo's head. I think he jumped up too early. Had he delayed his jump like even a second, I think Danzo would have cleared that. But yeah, I mean, it just
I think no, you're right. I mean, Danzo was inches away from getting to it, but let's just say the cross was perfect. You can't take anything away. Yeah. The cross and finish were sublime, absolutely brilliant. If we'd scored that goal, we'd be waxing lyrical about it. So, but yeah, it's a mistake that led to it.
Craig, as I mentioned, very, very loud boos inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at half-time, and Ange Postecoglou was obviously unhappy because he made a double sub at the halfway point. Son and Bergvall coming on, and Johnson and Basuma going off. How are you feeling at that half-time break?
A kind of gutted, obviously, but you kind of get used to it, and that's the worrying thing, isn't it? You just get used to us being behind, not playing well, unsurprised probably. I didn't even shout at the television when the first goal went in. I was, you know what, whatever. You're so used to it, and that's the sad reality of it. You see it time and time again this season, and I'm actually lost for words. Numb's probably the right word, Chris. Numb, because I'm numb to it, and like I say, I'm not completely. I honestly thought we were going to bounce back today, and I thought with the players returning, I thought they'd put on a show today. Fans back at the stadium, going to get the crowd behind them, give the crowd something to cheer about, and we just didn't see it again. And it's if Thursday goes tits up, the fan base is going to be, they're going to turn straight away. It's going to be Ange out for most people, guaranteed.
Audrey, what did you make of the half-time subs? Of course, 2 going off, 2 coming on. And then 3 minutes after that, Odebear shot blocked. And then on 51 minutes, Odebear crossed to Heung-min Son, who took a very heavy touch. And I tell you what, that is when the Spurs crowd again groaned big time about Heung-min Son taking a heavy touch and obviously not getting the shot in on goal. But should Son have started today's game, in your opinion?
I think, this is, again, going back to Craig's point, I think this was an opportunity before Thursday to really get the crowd going, get a good performance in, get the feel-good factor back. And I think this is a game that really, was a game where you really wanted to give a good showing, of yourself as a team. And yes, I mean, at the end of the day, I think Son is definitely a more experienced, more better player, because Odebear has been out since beginning of September. So, again, you can't really expect too much of him. I think at this point, I've said we know Son is knackered, especially that he's had to play every single game while a lot of the injuries have happened. But still, as I said, the last couple of weeks, we've had opportunities where we've had a whole week off. So I think probably he's recharged his batteries a little bit. And if you manage his minutes, like if you give him 60, 70 minutes and then bring on Odebear, probably, Son can put a good shift in. But anyway, he started with what he started. But I thought, he had to do something at halftime, because that first half, especially going a goal down just before the end of the first half, he needed to change, because there's several players, I think definitely Basuma and Johnson, I think he did the right thing. He needed to change it. He needed to get those players off because they were having no effect on the game. So it was interesting that Son came on and he put Odebel on the right hand side, and then I thought, and then we did start the second half better. Actually, I thought we were on the front foot a little bit. We had several chances, and it just seemed like there was a bit more energy, and Son did a couple of good things, but but by that point the crowd, from what happened in the first half, obviously, the crowd were already more nervous, and being a goal down, disappointed. So I think any time, unless we really need to go out there and get a goal. Basically, that's what we needed to do. We need to come out strong, and just really put them under the cosh for the first 10-15 minutes and get a goal back. Anything less, it was going to frustrate the crowd. It was going to frustrate us at home watching it on the TV. But I thought, I did think that Ange did the right thing. He didn't just change one player; he changed a couple of players to, get the energy levels up. So I thought it was the right move, and the right players to bring on.
Tim, we thought that Bournemouth took a 2-0 lead. Of course, Kluivert scored; it was disallowed. Went to VAR. Semenyo was offside. Was there a lot in it?
No, I think it was a good yard or two off. I didn't see it start off with because I think he's running back as we're going, but it was still a good couple of yards. We were very lucky. It was an absolutely stunning move. I hate to big up Bournemouth, but it was an absolutely stunning move and a brilliant finish. And I was like, oh man, now we're done.
Good side.
Really good side. And it was such a beautiful move. If I wasn't any skin in the game, I'd be very disappointed. I lost that, but it was a good yard or two off. It was one of those, whew, we don't deserve this, but we're still at 1-0. So it was more luck than judgment.
Tim, the first time we actually heard the crowd really sing for the Spurs team today was on the 54th minute, Heung-min Son. It was almost a trademark Heung-min Son goal, but of course hit the post bottom corner. But then we heard "Come on, you Spurs" from the Spurs fan base. What did you make of Heung-min Son's performance today, and what have you made of the criticism that he has received pretty much all season from the fan base?
I think he was fairly average today, and don't get me wrong, I'm a massive Sonny fan. I tell you what, it's like almost all the players, and this is where I think people get it wrong, that I think they're all awful when they play terrible. And Sonny's like a kind of talisman for that, really, which is I've seen him play the most delicious, fantastic, beautiful football, and he's just joyful and brilliant to watch. But apart from that, and kind of winning a penalty, as I said before, he had no crosses in that 45 minutes that he played, and no shots on target apart from the penalty. And I think that says everything I need to about not just him, but a load of people in that team that I've seen them play brilliantly, all of them, but none of them are playing up to where they should be. And I think Sonny as captain kind of epitomizes what's going on at the moment. In many ways, although I could diss Biss, if you like, and Romero and other people, I don't think anyone was particularly terrible. They just weren't very good. And I think that was Sonny. I will give him the benefit of the doubt because he won a penalty and scored it, and there was a great shot. And he raised the crowd because, and this is us as Tottenham Hotspur fans, isn't it? That we've seen that before, and we think, yes, this is it. Sonny's back in, he's going to do it, and then we're back to mediocrity again. And I think that's kind of where I'm at, really. Just feeling like I wish Sonny was more Sonny, or he had more help. One of the other interesting things is the difference between them and us is they were double teaming. Their wingers and their fullbacks were double teaming our wingers, and it made it very difficult. And it was the complete opposite to what we were doing, which was let them have a one-on-one and a run on us. And they never let us do that. Either Brennan on one side or Sonny when he came on. And I think that said a lot about the tactics rather than, let's say, just Son himself. Because if he's got more help, get it to him quicker, he's got a chance to run at people. I don't think he really had a chance to run at people all game. And when he did, he was fouled. So I kind of feel sorry for him at the moment.
Craig, let's come to you. On 61 minutes, Ange made another double sub. Romero and Bentancur going off, and Maddison and Van der Ven coming on. Naturally, as you would imagine, a huge cheer for Van der Ven coming on. Of course, that is great news for us because let's hope that he will feature heavily in Thursday's game. I thought Van der Ven was great today. What did you make of the double sub at that point? Because we've spoken at length about Ange Postecoglou's subs in recent games, getting it right. The management on the game management in terms of subs and players' minutes today. Did Ange get it right today for you?
I don't think the start. Well, it's easy to say with hindsight. I did the starting 11. I don't think was right because I don't think the balance was right. But it was good to see the subs come on when they did, and probably change the game to some small degree, even though the team as a whole didn't play particularly well today. Look, it was just great to see Van der Ven come on, Son come on, give us something else. But as I say, nobody come out of it with a glowing report. Perhaps Vicario for the saves he made. It was just good. It was just good to see those players come back, Chris, and like I say, Romero, a few shaky moments there, didn't play well at all. But Van der Ven, at least he tried to go on a few runs, obviously testing that hamstring out. I was thinking, don't run, stupid to say, but don't run too fast. But he really went on a couple of sprints up there. So he obviously trusts it, which is a good sign. But I just think the way that game was going today, I think we were probably lucky to get a draw. And I think Bournemouth are going to be gutted that they didn't take all 3 points. That's the main thing. If Bournemouth had finished their chance in that first half, they'll be going home down the M23 thinking, no, or not the M23, M3, I think it is. They'll be thinking they should have won that game. They should have been over here and far away by half time.
A lot of Spurs fans are already eyeing up Iraola as the next Spurs manager. Craig, would you like him?
Do you know what? Somebody said in the chat earlier, even if Pep was in charge of us, he couldn't get much more out of these players. I don't know. We always see these managers, and we've had Conte, we've had Jose. Yeah. It's I'm not sure. Is it? I still think there's a problem at Spurs, and I think we all know what the problems are and where they lay. You can't have that many world-class managers fail. It just wouldn't happen. Just doesn't happen. So I think the problems go a lot deeper than the manager.
Orcun, let's come to you. On 62 minutes, Bournemouth had a shot on target. Vicario turned it round the post, making another great save. I think it's fair to say that Vicario definitely kept us in this game. And my man of the match, actually, can we go around quickly and give man of the matches? Was he man of the match for you?
Yeah, 100%. Vicario.
Yeah. That was easy. Orchy, on 63 minutes, good play from James Maddison, laid it on a plate, literally, to Pape Sarr. Everyone got out of their seat thinking that ball was hitting the back of the net. Pape Sarr then hit it wide. I tell you what, huge groans, again, from the Tottenham Hotspur fans inside the stadium. You've got to be hitting that on target.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And to be honest, I think even before it got to that, I think, Maddison could have had a shot himself, really. He could have tried to curve that around the keeper, but fair enough. He wanted to, he didn't want to be selfish. Fair enough, because I think he did really well to get into that position himself. Good bit of play down the left-hand side. And then, as you say, he laid it on a plate and, Sarr, I thought, he just didn't connect with it correctly. You could see from the replays, and watching it on TV, as you were saying, probably most of us, you just got to, put your foot through it, and it's probably at the back of the net. So I don't know how he, and he scored some goals like that. He scored a couple of goals for us like that from sort of similar positions. So I was puzzled as anyone, but these things happen. Again, when you're on a bit of a downer, these are kind of things that happen normally. Probably 4 times out of 5 he does put it in the back of the net, but today for some reason he failed. Again, it comes back to this kind of confidence thing. The team just, you know, when you're playing without much confidence and when you're nervous, you do these kind of you know, normally the kind of mistakes that you wouldn't do, you start, you know, second guessing yourself, you start, you know, maybe instead of shooting, you start passing. And I think it was just one of those things. But then, you know, I think like it was 5-10 minutes later that he then got that first goal, which was incredible. But you know, he kind of made up for it in a way. But yeah, I would have rather, you know, he put that away, you know, earlier and, you know, given us a more of a, you know, an impetus as something, you know, kick-started maybe a fight back, a comeback. But yeah, it was puzzling because, you know, as I said, 4 times out of 5, he probably puts that, you know, through the back of the net. Yeah, he just misconnected with it.
Orchie, let's stay with you. On 65 minutes, Bournemouth then took a 2-0 lead. Evanilson, Clive with a wonderful through ball, left-footed shot from the centre of the box into the bottom right-hand corner. Bournemouth 2-0 up at this point. How are you feeling? What did you make of this goal that we conceded?
Dejected. I was already, you know, I was already feeling tough. But again, you know, Bournemouth are very, very good going forward. Is, you know, their players, everybody seems to know what their role is, and the movement. It was very silky, and you know, just with that one kind of through ball, again, Van der Ven kind of showed his rustiness because it kind of skinned Van der Ven, and also, as you can see from this picture, Bergvall didn't quite, you know, didn't get there either. He just took about 2 of our players out of the game, and he, you know, the guy just, you know, put it at the back of the net. There was nothing Vicario could do. Yeah, and you know, it's just I could just imagine that, you know, the effect it had in the stadium as well. You know, it makes your heart sink. You just think, you know, because just as we looked like we were trying to get a bit of a fight back going, I mean, it just goes to show, you know, had Sarr put that chance, it would have been 1-1 and maybe things might have been different. But, you know, we missed pretty much an open goal right in front of goal. And then, you know, a few minutes later, that goes, you know, you concede a goal like that to go 2-0 down, even bigger mountain to climb. So, yeah, it's just, you know, it makes you despondent. You think, here we go. And yeah, just a really, really poor goal to concede. Like everybody at every moment of that goal just kind of basically failed. And, you know, Bournemouth got that goal.
Tim, you mentioned it earlier. On 66 minutes, Bergvall hit the left post, right-footed shot from outside the box. Wonderful chance, or wonderful shot from him. Unlucky not to score. And then a minute later, of course, Sarr got one back for Spurs. It looked like a cross, but then it went in off the post. Everyone was cheering again, thinking that we were going to be back into this game. What did you make of Bergvall's performance? Not only for this game, but this season, because he has really come on leaps and bounds. You know, a lot more game time than probably he and Ange Postecoglou thought that he would get this season, and also Sarr's goal.
Bergvall's a proper player. I mean, he does make mistakes, but he's 18, right? Isn't he 18 still?
19 now.
19. Oh, he's a whole 19 now. But I can't remember, we said it earlier, but he's definitely bulked up a bit, and he's looking strong, and he's looking fairly fearless. So he's going to make mistakes because he takes chances, but he just looks so good on the ball. And that strike to hit that post was so beautifully struck. I kind of reminded me of an old Spurs player, and I can't remember who, but that sort of, it's almost like, I don't know, Berbatov, that kind of hit, you know, that beautiful strike of a clean strike of a ball. And if Vic wasn't man of the match, it would have been him again for me. I really think he's going to be exceptional. I think for the future, him and Archie in the middle are just going to be unbelievably good. I think Archie will play in centre midfield with him. And sometimes we need a bit of luck, right? I mean, he wasn't even looking. He had his head down, Sarr, and float one to the back post. It's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes when you're not playing well, making another mistake turns out to be okay. which is, oh, that's a terrible cross. Actually, it's gone in. Thank God. Let's go back up the other end. We need this kind of luck to happen. So he kind of looks like he's going to whip a ball in. Well, Sarr's not that good at that, and kind of floats it instead and does the goalkeeper. So I was kind of pleased for that, because I like Sarr. He's another one who's putting a lot of effort in and trying. Not been so great recently, and he's coming back off an injury. So I'm kind of really pleased for him that was that. And it was like, right, let's go up the other end and do it. So I kind of, we shouldn't have got anything out of that match, but a bit of luck and a bit of effort got us something. And it's certainly that goal helped us. And maybe stuff like Bergval's shot help us. Like, oh, we can do this. Oh, we can actually shoot from distance. Like I think you were saying earlier, we never shoot from distance. He thinks, well, it's all opening up for me, so I'll give it a bang. So actually, then that changes the defence, right? Because then they can't just sit off knowing that we're not going to bang one in from distance. It means they've got to go and challenge him, which creates more space. And maybe that helps us towards the end of the game, open it up a bit.
Tim, sorry to come to you on another negative part of the game, but at that point when it was 2-1 to Bournemouth, we're hoping for that equaliser or even the winner. But on 73 minutes, James Maddison loses it in a crucial position in the centre of the park. You should never lose the ball there. Bournemouth then break, then they hit the post. Now, I want to ask you about James Maddison. What have you made of him in a Spurs shirt? What have you made of his Spurs career so far? Should he be in the England squad? And do you agree with what Roy Keane said about him?
Yeah, he's another really confusing one. I think I probably do. He's a good player, right? He's a good player, and on form, he's a great player. But one of the troubles is he struggles keeping fit, always has done. And I think it seems to be that he's a real confidence player. So I said earlier, there's several times where he had the ball and he turned around in circles 3 times rather than just passing it off and moving and doing something. Now that's entirely what happened on that move. He was holding onto the ball, trying to be clever, and I think draw people in and then turn and get out. But the trouble is, he had, I think, 3 players around him. It was never going to happen. The easiest thing to do was just push it out and do and make it easy. And I think, as you said, that's a midfielder's a calamitous mistake. Just especially with us, right? Because we push high. So if he loses that, there's maybe only 2 players behind him. Because if the fullbacks are pressed up, there's no one there. So I don't quite get James Maddison. Back to what I was saying. On his day, he's a fantastic player, and he's got a sweet right foot, and he's got really good imagination. We'll get onto Sonny's penalty because that was him again. So when he's on form, he's brilliant. But it's so sporadic these days, and I think he makes more mistakes than he does good passes, and that's where he's at the moment, which is a shame, really, because I really like him as a player.
Craig, I know you and I have spoken a lot about James Maddison, certainly this season on the podcast, but when I mentioned that chance, laid on a plate for Pape Sarr, fantastic from James Maddison, but you cannot be losing the ball in that position, particularly when we're losing at that point 2-1.
No, absolutely. And it's just the consistency with Maddison that we've said on many occasions. If he was performing to the levels that he can do because he's done it. If he's performing to those levels, then he would have started today. I don't think Maddison was rested today. I think he was probably rotated out, and I wouldn't say dropped, but you know what I mean. He's not that much of an important player to us because he's not doing it. He's inconsistent. Kulusevski was probably that player for a set of time a couple of months ago. And then again, obviously, we was down to the bare bones. But the difference was Kulusevski was doing it week in, week out. Maddison, you just want to see him be the player that we know he can be. And it's just that inconsistency that will probably cost him his England place again, sadly. But yeah, we just want to see more from him. I want to see more from him.
Craig, let's stay with you. On 84 minutes, of course, Heung-min Son won a penalty, scored the penalty. At one point, it did look like Dominic Solanke was going to take it, but he handed the ball to Heung-min Son. Great penalty from him. But what did you make of the build-up for the goal, or for the penalty decision, should I say?
Well, it was a good pass through to Son, but let's face it, very bad goalkeeping error that's probably cost by Kepa, that's probably cost his team all 3 points today. He didn't need to come out and do that. I've seen him do it in the past. He seems to never learn from his mistakes. I don't think he's a particularly good goalkeeper, Kepa, but it was Sonny was going away from goal, and he just took him out. They were saying it wasn't a penalty. It was a penalty. But I don't know what the goalkeeper was doing there. He's cost his team 3 points today. As for Sonny's style about taking the penalty, I hate that sort of Panenka sort of penalty. It looks good when it goes in, but if he'd dived the right way, then Sonny would have looked stupid. But thankfully, it went in.
You've got to have some balls to do it, though, Craig, haven't you?
You have, yeah. Whether he saw at the corner of his eye, Kepa just edging to his left, I don't know. But I certainly would never have the guts to take a penalty like that. I just used to hit them as hard as possible, and hope to a certain degree that the keeper doesn't dive the right way. But as you can see here, Sonny obviously takes his time, a little stutter, and then just chips it almost down the middle. So yeah, a very brave way to take a penalty. It's not for me, but it went in, which is the main thing.
Now, before we continue, let's hear from Heung-min Son on what he made of the performance today.
Sonny, give us your thoughts on it today.
Yeah, I mean, first half they had a couple of good chances, and Vic made unbelievable and outstanding saves, so keep us in the game. So yeah, but still, I think 2-2. Feel like I'm very disappointed at home. Should get 3 points.
Can you tell me a little bit about the rotation at the moment? How much is it helping you personally, just in terms of when you're coming into games, when you're starting games? How much is it helping the rest of the team, just in terms of freshness?
No, I mean, I still want to play every single game, and which is that they are looking for. And then, as a physicality, I think I still feel better than ever. So, but look, I mean, it's a team that everybody need a game time, and with those squads we have right now, I think is very, very helpful, and you can go to the game with fresh legs and fresh energy and mentally, physically fresh, and the most important thing is now performance-wise and get a result. So yeah, I think it's definitely helpful.
Because Sonny, I guess that the question that most fans will want to know straight away is like, why we seem to be starting a little bit slow. Why do you think that is at the moment?
I mean, look, I mean, everybody have to look in this ourselves. Nobody will helping us except on the pitch. I think those guys who's playing, I think, need to take more responsibility, as I always say. And look, it's been many times we've been start sloppy, and then get behind, and then chasing game is not that idea. So yeah, we gotta just have to be very strong and make it step forward. So you can't always stay in the same stairs. Like you have to try to make a step forward as we move on. And yeah, it's almost, I would say, is March. So we gotta improve our stats and our growing. So I think it's definitely we need to move forwards.
Sonny, Thursday night was tough, and we spoke afterwards. We were losing 2-0 today. We've got a draw out of it and finished well. How important is that, with Thursday in mind now, to have turned that round today?
No, I mean, as I say, I think Thursday was unacceptable, and the performance and then the way we take the game with attitudes, and I mean, it was very, very bad. So, but today, I think also I'm not really happy with the results, and obviously we can look in a positive way that we come back from 2-0, but it shouldn't already happen at home, So yeah, I mean, it's already past the game, so we have to look forwards and be positive, as you say, and then take it some tough moments, but because it's Thursday, another big game at home. We need everyone from the supporters, players, staff, from the club, everybody. We need that game to get it turned around.
What did you see watching as a substitute in the first half, and what did you want to bring when you came on in the second half?
Look, I mean, when I'm on the pitch, I always try to help the team and then create chances or try to score the goals and make it some impacts, you know. So obviously in the first half it was a bit tough. Obviously there was a lot of space, but we couldn't really find the right decision. But yeah, if I'm on the pitch, I always try to find a best solution. If I have to shoot or if I have to make the passes in the final third, try to make a best decision of outcome. And today, I think luckily we find a good decision and scored. So I think we have to keep going. And as I say, I think we just have to heads down and just run forward.
Can I ask about the penalty? Did you know exactly what you were going to do beforehand?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. I'm always practicing after the games, after training. So, yeah, and this was penalty that I always wanted after my miss against Wolves. So, yeah, try to stay calm and just be decisive and do what I choose to do. And I was very committed to it. So, yeah, when the ball hit the nets, and then I was very happy that I could help the team.
Yeah, we're all in the same boat there, Sonny, particularly when you went for a dink penalty. Just finally, Thursday, talk us through what is needed from the team at the moment. It's clear from us looking on that there's enough quality there. I guess it's about going out and putting on a performance.
I mean, look, we can. It's quality doesn't bring the wins, you know. So I mean, the games always need a mentality and the care and. The performance, the hard work always matters. So, look, I mean, the individual quality you don't have to talk about because everybody is playing in the Premier League. That there's a reason that we are playing in the Premier League. But look, you know, when you are not giving everything, football is not only the sports that can turn around. You know, like, and so we need to be focused. We need to take it seriously and respect the opponent and just do everything what we can and to turn around, especially at home.
Orgy, let's come to you. Let's talk about Thursday's game. Of course, we faced AZ Alkmaar in the last 16-second leg. We're 1-0 down at the moment. Son just said there that we've got to be focused, got to give everything in the game. How are you feeling ahead of Thursday's game? Are Spurs going to be going through to the quarterfinals or are we going out?
Sorry, I was on mute. Well, that's the big question. I mean, this is why today's game was really important to really, you know, give a good account of ourselves. And obviously, we can't say we have achieved that. Although, yes, you know, let's not forget that Bournemouth are a very good team, and I think 2-2 at home, it's a team that I think we, you know, on our, you know, if everything was right, we should be beating personally. But you know, with the kind of season that Bournemouth are having, I guess some people might see that as a good result, especially as some of the people have said, you know, being 2-0 down to come back 2-2 does kind of show character as well. But yeah, but still, this is a game that leaves a lot of us fans frustrated. You know, had we come out and really blown Bournemouth apart, then I think everybody would have more confidence. So this wasn't this wasn't a game to give us, you know, more confidence for sure after the performance. But I still feel that obviously now that some of our, you know, so-called, you know, some of our, you know, better, more experienced players have had some minutes, I guess, you know, like Van de Ven might start. Solanke obviously got 90 minutes under his belt, even though he looked quite gone by the end of the game. Yeah, I still feel that we have the quality there to, you know, again, being at home, we should beat AZ, you know, we should at least, you know, it's a game that we should win 2-3-0. But then, you know, when you have performances like we did last Thursday and then today, it doesn't fill you with a lot of confidence to be able to say that. But I still feel that there is, now that you know, we've almost got our squad back, and the players have had a chance to have another game under their belts. I think, I imagine they're going to be up for it. They're really going to be up for, you know, progressing to the next round. So 1-0 isn't, you know, that's the one good thing that we can say about last Thursday, is that it's only 1-0. That's probably about the only positive thing we can get from last Thursday. So it gives us a good chance. We're at home. You know, with if we can start that game strongly and get an early goal and get the crowd buzzing and get the atmosphere going, then yeah, I think it's a game that we could win 2-3, 4-0. And it's a game that I think we need to win 2-3, 4-0 to give the players a bit more confidence, to give us fans a bit more confidence, and to keep our season going, keep the buzz going a little bit longer until at least the next round, whoever we're going to come up against. But I think in terms of quality, I think both Romero and Van de Ven coming back, I say, in my opinion, especially seeing his post-match comments, even more, I would say Van de Ven more than Romero. I think I'd like to see Van de Ven start with Danzo on Thursday, and possibly have Udogie left back and Spence right back, and start with maybe Bergvall. Let's get some energy in then. I would probably say start Son as well on the left on Thursday. And yeah, if we can get an early goal or a couple of early goals in the first half, that will get everybody buzzing. That'll get the players buzzing. That'll get the crowd buzzing. And, hopefully we can win 3-4-0 on Thursday.
Orchie, what's actually your score prediction?
I would say 3, maybe 4-0.
Wow. Okay.
Or 3-1, 3-1, maybe 3-1. I think they might get a goal. But if we can start well, unlike today, if we can start strongly, I think we can win 3-1, 4-1 on Thursday.
Tim, let's come to you. And this is interesting, actually, because if Spurs did get through to the quarterfinals, we would face either Frankfurt or Ajax. And interestingly, we would actually know who the opponents would be in the quarterfinals before we actually kick off our game on Thursday evening, because they kick off at 5:45. We kick off at 8 p.m. In terms of team selection, Tim, who should Ange Postecoglou put out on Thursday? Should it be the strongest possible 11? And is this, for you, our biggest game of the season?
It's 100% our biggest game of the season. Should he put? I mean, that's a loaded question. What is our strongest 11? And that is the problem. I wouldn't start Sonny. I'd leave him to the second half in case we need him. The one problem we've got is if we let an early goal in, we're in deep, deep trouble, because they not only do a low block, which we can't play against, we just never have been for a very long time. They'll park a bus and we will never get through them because we haven't got the creativity to do it. So my feeling is that he'll try and start solid, not our top team. I think he'll play Romero and Van de Ven. I think he'll play Spence. I think he'll play Udogie. Close enough to our team, but enough on the bench. So in the second half, if it's going wonky, that you can bring some quality on and go, right, Sonny, now you go for it and whatever. So I'm just desperately worried that we'll let an early goal in, or that we'll start panicking early on because we're not scoring and just start lobbing stuff in the box and doing dumb things. To not sound like a broken record, we have got players on who will play, no matter who he plays, that should easily beat that team. Easily. On their day, all of those players would easily beat that team. They are fantastic players. I've seen all of them and they're great. But in the mood they're in, I'm struggling to see how they could possibly do that. I would either go, it'll be a draw and it will be painful and horrible, or we'll completely stuff them, like 4-0 or something. We'll score early. They'll have to come out. And then we'll be on our game. But it's the classic with Spurs, isn't it? When people used to ask me, what's the scoreline prediction? Well, I say it's going to be like 4-2. And they say, who to? And I say, well, I don't know. It could be them. It could be us. And that's, I know we laugh because otherwise we cry, but that's the truth, right? It could easily be a 4-2 game to either side. So I don't think it will be. I think it'll be a really tight game.
You know, Tim, that you know that we're very capable of winning this game 3 or 4-0, like Orchie said. But you know that we're very capable as well that they could get a 1-0 win and we go out. So yeah. you never know what you're going to get, especially with this this team this season.
Yeah, because the worst thing that'll happen is Troy Parrott goes up the other end, you know, in the first 10 minutes, scores a goal, his home stadium, and then we can't do anything else because we can't play against a low block. I'm not entirely sure why we can't, but tell me I'm wrong. I just don't think we've ever been able to do it. In fact, we're much better. If we win this game somehow, we stand a better chance against Ajax or Frankfurt than we do AZ, because they'll come out and they'll play and there'll be gaps, and we're more likely to win that 4-2, 4-3. But I think I have no idea what's going to happen on Thursday. I horribly worry that we'll let a goal in early. If anything, today's to go by, that he couldn't keep it tight for 15 minutes. If he can't keep it tight for 15, 20 minutes on Thursday and they nick one from a set piece or wherever it might be, or a break, because they're pretty good on the break and very quick, then we're going to struggle big time.
Tim, just a quick yes or no. Will Spurs win the Europa League?
No.
Orchie, will Spurs win the Europa League?
I think we can get past AZ, and if we get
Yes
past
or no?
the next round, we're capable.
Is that a yes
We
or
can.
no?
If we play to our strengths, we can. Yes, I think Spurs can win the Europa League.
Orchie, you give a politician's answer. Craig, are we winning? Yes or no?
What, Thursday or the Europa League?
Europa League.
No, don't daft. No, can't see it. I must say I'd love it. I'm using reverse psychology. The amount of times I come on here and say Spurs are going to win and they don't, I'm just saying no. We ain't got a hope. We ain't got a prayer of winning that competition. In the hope that we do. As for Thursday, I think it's going to be 2-1 Tottenham. I think they could well score first, hit us on the break, and I think it's going to go extra time. And I think it could even go to penalties. And I don't even want to call it if it goes to penalties. So I'm not going to. But I think it's going to be 2-1 Tottenham after 90 minutes. As for the team, I would like to see Mikey Moore get a run, considering what he did to him last time. I'd love to see Mikey Moore. I'd love to see Archie Gray in a 6, but I don't think we will, because that'll be his first time playing there. Him, Bergvall and Maddison. I would say Maddison, even though he's been not brilliant, I don't see what else you can do, and we need a bit of creativity in there, and he's the one player that can do that. Back four probably picks itself to a certain extent. It's just whether, I think Spence definitely plays. It's just who out of Porro and Udogie plays. And the front three, I disagree with Tim. I think we got to start Son. I think Son will start, and I think Solanke will start up front. And whether it's going to be Mikey Moore, Odegaard, or Tell, don't be surprised to see Tell on the right. Actually, I would imagine. Thinking about it, as much as I want to see Mikey Moore.
And what about the Fulham game, Craig? Of course, that is our next Premier League game. How do you think that one's going to go?
Badly. I think I can't say Fulham are doing really well this season. I just think I've no faith in the players. They need to show up. I can't really give you an honest answer about that until I see how we play Thursday. Yeah. I'll keep hanging my hat on us improving, and I haven't seen it yet. But I think the most we can hope for against Fulham is a draw. Well,
Orchie, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I know it was a 2-2 draw. I know we came back from 2-0 down, and perhaps this podcast should have been a little bit more positive. But you know, we feel what we feel. You know, you can't help what you say when you've seen these types of performances again and again. Orchie, thanks so much for joining us. Where can people find you on social media? What are you up to at the moment?
On Instagram, London_Orchie. And that's where you can find me.
Thank you. And Tim, great to have you on here for the first time.
Been a pleasure.
Great to have you on here, and we'd love to have you back on, obviously. Where can people find you, and what you're up to at the moment?
I've got stuff below. So on X, which I don't use very much, I'm Tim Spurrier. On Instagram, I'm Tim J Spurrier, because the other one was taken. I DJ. I produce and DJ on shows for a Brooklyn station, would you believe? Which is on a Tuesday. So you can find my stuff on Instagram and other bits. But I'm just too passionate about Spurs at the moment to do it. I might sound miserable, but I'm forever hopeful. Yes. I'm forever hopeful that that we can pull it out of the bag and do stuff. And I'm going to stay that way. Although I think we're going to struggle, I'm forever hopeful.
I always say, Tim, we all want the same thing at the end of the day. I know some of us can come across a little bit grumpier than others, but we all want the same thing.
And I want a Thursday night that's rocking, like the European night, like really loud and rocking White Hart Lane. And if that happens and they're up for the game, it will be a magical night.
Yeah. Orchie, sorry, what did you want to say?
That's what I was saying. The players have to come out and sorry. Hello? All right. Sorry. It just froze there for me for a second. I was just going to say, I think the players have got to, whoever plays on Thursday, they've got to come out and they've really got to start on the front foot, get the crowd going, have a couple of chances, have a couple of shots, maybe even goals, start it strong, and then we can have a romp. And we need a romp. We need something to get our confidence up. The players need something. The players need a romp to get their confidence up so that, we've got, before the international break, so we can, go into the Fulham game with some confidence, because again, Fulham's another team that on our day we should be beating. We've beaten them before several times, and it's a team that we should beat. But it depends on who's gonna. But I agree with Craig. I think Sonny needs to start. I thought in the second half when Sonny came on and Odegaard went to the right, it did look better, and we had that little few spells. So I think for me, Sonny and maybe Odegaard starts on the right, or maybe Tell might start on the right, as you said. But I think for me, defense, I'd love to see Udogie on the left, Spence on the right back, and I'd love to see Van de Ven and Danso start, actually. I know some people might say Romero and Van de Ven, but I think Danso, since he's come in, he's really hit the ground running, and I think he deserves a start. And I'd love to see how him and Van de Ven form a relationship, because I think that could be a quite strong, good, solid partnership there. So I'd like to see that.
And lastly, Craig, thank you so much for joining us as always. And where can people find you and what you're up to at the moment?
No problem. Yeah, not up to much. Just was looking forward to the game today, and was a bit let down, as all of us were. But yeah, at Dearman 9 on X, if you want to follow me, that'd be great. Come on, Spurs, we can do this Thursday, but it's not going to be easy. Just not going to be easy. You just know it's not going to be easy.
Yes. I thought you were going to close us with your closing words that you love to use these days.
Yeah, Spurs don't lose. Spurs don't lose every week, so please don't have nightmares. Do sleep well. Chris loves that.
We've got a WhatsApp group, and Craig keeps putting that phrase in that WhatsApp group. It's driving me mad.
Every time somebody says something negative.
Honestly. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thank you for your time, Craig, Orchie, and Tim. You guys have been great. We'll be back with another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast after, hopefully, Spurs have beaten AZ Alkmaar and we are through to the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Have a great week, everyone, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.